Welcome to episode 15 of the Two Thinking Apes podcast. The streak continues, I guess. We've got David back again, a true friend of the show, the sexy man himself. And we also have his partner in crime, William, who works as a director of marketing at MJ Bale, I believe, and also co-runs the Hounds fashion blog along with David. How you going, William? And David, welcome back. It's a pleasure to see your beautiful face again.
Alright.
Was that all right?
That's perfect.
Oh,
That's
fuck
perfect.
yeah.
How you doing, Will?
Yeah, mate, I'm good. All things considered. Lockdown here in Sydney. LGA, can't leave home. But besides that, we're doing all right. We're alive, breathing, can't complain.
I think we're all in that position.
Yeah. I've just lived in the beach, so I'm just lucky.
Oh, what a king. What a cool guy.
Well, it's not me. It's thank my parents for that one. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I even went for a run today for the first time in a few years. It was fantastic. But I was having a look
Yeah.
through the Hounds. Fantastic website setup. Can you just
Mate, the layout.
Well, yeah, Talon
Big
was
layout. Very nice layout.
it was fantastic. Just run us through what you guys actually do, because
And how it came about.
But what is a fashion blog? Like, do you just review different fashions or put together new styles for people, and how did it start as well?
How to describe the Hounds? I guess it's a lot of things. But what we want it to be and what it is, I think, in spirit, is an editorial destination to discover independent style for independent minds. What that means is that
That's what I was going to ask. What does that mean, mate?
I guess when we say the style, you're talking about a recognizable aesthetic expression of clothes, but not just in clothes. It could be through music, through art, and through the way of life. An independent mind implies that you think for yourself, that you're not necessarily swayed by the crowd, and also you approach your life with intellectual rigor. Whether that means interrogating determining what's important to you and building identity from the ground up that way, or exploring things with a purpose. That's to expand your frontiers, or to improve your own sensibilities. It's about really establishing a sense of identity and individualized identity, stemming from something which is uniquely yours. I guess, when that translates into what do we cover? Clothes, reviews. It's kind of a bit of all of that. But what it's really dedicated to is to find the individualistic story behind style, whether that's in a product, someone's shop, or how someone wears their clothes. It's about finding that sort of human through line across those different areas we cover.
When did you guys meet, and how did that kind of start, really? I like that idea. So I think, I don't know, I like that. The individualistic part, I think, is very relevant throughout, all the time. You know what I mean? So I'm just more curious as to how you guys actually started, in the sense of, because David was saying before, it used to be a group of people. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what happened with that?
I guess what we discovered is that when we first kicked off, I think it would have been back by 2014 now. It was myself, Davo, and a couple of mates. We were quite trying to discover a creative outlet. And at the time, we all had a budding interest in clothing, particularly men's tailoring. We had gone together and wanted to find a way where we can really build that community of like-minded people who liked clothes but weren't if they were materialistic, about having materialism, and appreciate clothes and style. So what happened is that we were all at university, so we thought the most convenient, expedient way to do that was maybe start a little club at university to really bring together people who cared about finding new avenues to explore who they were, and then also explore their own tastes. As we progressed, we began sort of trying to expand our remit. We started off domestically, started with a small community of people, and then really began people who invited us, the community at large. This particular positioning is something which is parochial. It's not limited to Australia. I think there's a global community of people out there who approach clothes and their own tastes in a highly individualistic form.
So what year was that? Sorry, I couldn't hear parts of that.
Sorry, man. It would have been about, I think, we would have started 2014.
So how many people were originally running it?
We were 1, 2, 3. David, help me out here. Math isn't good. That's why I do marketing.
Well, I don't have math ability either, but you know, my 4-unit math could probably pinpoint the integer of about 7 people that were helping us out.
Yeah, I would ballpark 7 as well.
Yeah, something more or less like that. And I think, as William was saying, we all found each other through university, and we all liked, I don't know, for a better term or worse, suits. I think we were all really interested in that sort of thing. And actually, it was a really funny thing that back then, William well, I think it was a group idea, but I think it was mostly William. And he made, he tried to make us all wear tailoring style to university. And at first I thought it was kind
Sexy.
Yeah, the sexy man.
Peaky Blinders.
Oh, it was a lot of ties, a lot of different neckties every day. And
Yeah.
I just felt for a while, it really put me out of my comfort zone because whilst I liked it, I didn't really do it that much. But I thought about it again and I said, well, all these Sydney Sider businessmen wearing, I don't know, I would say probably not the best suits, probably ill-fitting, or like they could have looked good, but they just didn't because they didn't bother to tailor or they didn't bother to spend the time into how they look, which ended up looking like some guy who just came off with running shoes, unbuttoned the top, like a school kid basically who just got out of school. And I felt for the first time after Will coerced me to wear these sorts of things to university all the time. I felt, you know what? I actually feel pretty good like wearing these sorts of things.
Look good, feel good.
Yeah, very much so. So that was 7 of us.
The suit thing, when you said the like businessman, like scruffy with running shoes, it reminds me, Taylor, of in Japan. We were going past a pretty dodgy street, and I kept getting offered like massages with like a shower at the end, and then
free. The shower was free.
The shower was free.
They chucked in the shower.
Threw the shower in, but you got the massage first. And then I remember walking past one, and I said no, and some guy like in a businessman like just like scurried out like with his suit, like doing up his ties. Like, that's
big
all I can
fat
imagine.
Japanese guy. He comes out and just sleeks his hair back. It was like,
I don't know if we saw that sort of thing in Japan, did we, Will? Because we actually did a couple interviews in Japan.
No, but I was
Really?
also like passed out for a good chunk. But David was a lifesaver.
Yeah.
well, one thing I wanted to ask you, Will, was you said you tied it into an intellectual aspect. I couldn't hear you properly because the internet cut out a bit. Could you go into that?
Yep. I guess one thing one thing that everyone had in common was an appreciation for the social and historical context of clothing, or the things in their life.
Interesting.
When we were interested in fashion style, we had a very knee-jerk reaction to what you consider sort of mainstream fashion, and part of that is not so much the motivating forces behind it, but the consumption cycles that inspire it. Fashion, whether you like it or not, is a socially performative act. You put on clothes to become who you are, but not privately, because you know who you are privately. You dress up, to go into the world, be who you are publicly. And when you say what publicly means, you're embroiled in broader cycles of history and social forces acting upon that. We were interested in exploring clothes through that dimension, finding the story behind clothes, whether that's something broader, linking to a discussion of macro forces, or looking towards the micro courses, smaller stories about people trying to realize themselves or their dreams, or become better people, through opening up a small shop, making a pair of bespoke glasses, or even finding their own individual sense of style. And it was really that human component, which inspired us, and we, how we hope to be different.
That's such a niche. I didn't even know was a thing. What did you find for this day and age then, in the sense of if you're looking at style historically, is there anything in particular that stood out, or is there like a decline in style? What did you find, or what have you discussed?
I don't know if there's a decline in style. One thing you're finding at the moment in, I guess, menswear and fashion is the disappearance of macro trends. It's like two things. One is changing nature of media.
Could you repeat that, Will? Sorry.
Sorry,
The internet.
changing style, and I guess fashion is changing
We're back.
quite dramatically, mainly because of the changing media landscape. Historically, if you look at the 70s and 80s, people would get their fashion news from, reading a review in New York Times, or look at Vogue or GQ. These guys will all appeal to advertisers. It's a very trickle-down approach. Everyone looks the same. An observable component about that is that you had distinct regional differences between different places, because obviously media networks are unique to a particular geographic or segment. With the rise of digital media, what you've had is sort of globally being open to the world. When Dave and I both come in the style, Italians were the thing, going through Tumblr was a space where you discovered these sort of micro communities. And you see these guys from southern Italy, in the 50s and 60s, who were real dudes, who weren't like fashionistas, who weren't like editors for magazines. And what you saw is that sort of influence bleed into straight style. When we were interested initially in 2011, 2012, guys who were a bit more adventurous would start dressing that way. And if you look at tailoring now in Australia, it's got a very distinct Southern Italian flavor, but amended a bit to fit our local climate. Discovering and sort of working in that way, you kind of see what happens is that that sort of towards discovering styles is really accelerated. Instagram has evolved its platform, sort of superseding Tumblr, and TikTok as well has become another platform for people to discover fashion themselves. Because of the fast-moving space of fashion, you don't really have trends so much. What you're finding is two things. One is a broader sense of community, and the second thing is the deliverance of micro trends. It's hard to say we're not improved. We take a more individualized approach. We don't subscribe to a particular set of code. It's only suffice to say that it's become more exciting and moved away from the classical conventions, which had defined fashion for the majority of the 20th century, at least in the West.
Fair enough.
Is you work for MJ Bale, right?
Yeah, mate.
So obviously, like, you're into the suits and the tailoring stuff. So does that mean that MJ Bale suits are up there in terms of your opinion on the way they style things? I know I personally have an MJ Bale suit in my cupboard, but no, but they're all like, there's heaps of sexy styles and stuff. But I'm just wondering, like, what got you like drawn to MJ Bale? Was it what you just pretty much talked about, and the fact that they have a lot of different like patterns and types of suits, or just interested?
I think we found, at least what I found, when we were sort of getting style, which was sort of 2013, 2014, the tail end of hashtag menswear season, was that you've had Australians beginning to articulate a set of style which had begun to be recognized globally, which wasn't something that happened before. Australia, just like American literature and American art really in the 20th century, was a bit insecure about itself. I think what interested me about Suits and then MJ Bale was the fact that they were trying to articulate a sense of style that was catered to the Australian men. Historically, we would import styles from Italy. Guys would look towards Italy for inspiration and be quite explicit in those references for a way to cut the suits to cloth they used. What attracted me to MJ Bale was the fact they were trying to find a local idiom. And it's still what attracts me to the business, that it's proud of being Australian and isn't trying to masquerade itself as something European. The sense of being authentic and being individualistic is something I think which permeates the culture of the business. And it's why I'm still there today.
What does your job involve day to day for that kind of? I got no idea about this area.
All right. So my job is twofold. One is basically get people talking about the business.
There you go.
And the brand. And number one is finding different ways to tell the story. Every brand, every business has their narrative. A product is basically like the holy grail, right? Whether you're buying soap or clothes, you're trying to solve a problem. And that problem has different aspects, whether it's functional, like buying a washer to fix your tap, or emotional, like buying a book. My job is to find ways to tell the story in new ways. So that's really what my job involves on a very broad level, on a less sort of a day-to-day basis, more in terms of a quarterly, yearly basis, putting those things in place to really deliver on those.
So obviously he pulled Costin in.
Oh, mate, I got reeled in. I went there. I bought a suit. That was during work as well. I went because I was at Macquarie Uni building a couple of things there, and I went to Mac Center and bought a couple. And then not Mac Center. It was at Miranda. What am I?
Come on, mate.
It's the concussions. I went to Miranda, and yeah, I bought the suit, and then the guy's like, tie, bow tie, belt. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And I walked.
You don't
out.
own a bow tie. Do you? I haven't seen you in a bow tie.
Mate, I was about to wear it with my costume. I don't know where I put it.
Yeah. This is his
Somewhere around
fashion costume. I don't know what the right word is.
No, it's not
Attire.
a fashion costume. It's not there's a lot of fashion attires. I just found this stuff and threw it on.
What are the fundamentals of style? Because I'm not a very stylist. Like, what's even the word stylistic guy?
You can bedazzle your bald head.
Is that an option? I'd rather get it off the experts, mate.
Well,
like
if you want
go,
to
Dave.
think in terms of like the fundamentals, I mean,
Yeah, what are the fundamentals? That's a little side of your on the website.
Yeah, like, look, the fundamentals is more about, I mean, if you want to approach something as like a problem, then you should identify the problem and or let's not say problem, because your bald head isn't a problem.
Oh, are we actually talking about? Okay, we can talk about bald head.
It's just a thing, right? And
it's just a thing. Like, look, it
is very shiny, so I'll give you that.
I'm under light.
Slightly less of an issue than what it could have been, but
lucky I can grow a beard.
Yeah, unluckily for me, right? But, I mean, fundamentals for how we approached it was, I think it was based on a book actually a collection of books by Alan Flusser. Do you remember who Alan Flusser is, William? He's like, who did he write for?
Alan Flusser was a costume designer and editor for Esquire back in his old heyday. So you guys seen the original Wall Street, the 80s movie with Martin Sheen and Charlie Sheen? Yeah, so he designed costumes for that, and then The Great Gatsby, starring
I've seen that.
Yeah. So it was a costume designer for those. Really centered around that, what we call mid-Atlantic, 30s and 40s inspired style. So with the mid-Atlantic, we mean, Cary Grant, Fred Astaire,
How would you describe the Peaky Blinders style? Because that's sexy. Like, if I had a suit, like, I'd want to look like that.
Well, it's like what David's got behind him.
Yeah, I know, but what's that style called?
How would you describe that style?
Good question. I mean, we could be really technical about it. We could say it's like sort of art, probably started off in the Art Deco era, like 1920s, 1930s sort of style. People are starting to be very interested in like a more well, how would you describe Art Deco? It's like that. I'm trying to describe it for people who like in simple English. It's like the beautiful like people would probably refer to it as like almost Victorian or something like that. But
That's what I was thinking.
yeah, people would sort of notice it or like think of it like from that era. But I would say like that sort of style was probably in Peaky Blinders sort of fashion, like more English. I would say if you want to say like house, I think
I'm
if you
saying
talk about Peaky Blinders, right? You're talking about like all sorts of suits in media or like in terms of like popular culture. So you got
I
suits,
don't know.
you got Peaky Blind. Oh, I'm not sure. But I'm
No, I'm
asking.
saying if I want to dress like which one of the
Thomas
Shelbys?
Shelby.
Thomas Shelby. Pick a Shelby. Where do I go and what's that style called?
It's tough to define it as a style, and it's tough to recommend something to get that made at an exact. Because just like the TV show Peaky Blinders, what you're finding is interpretation of something that existed in the 20s. If you have a reasonably strong, sharp shoulder, high armhole, traditional cut jacket in kind of tweeds and heavy flannel cloths, which what you see on the show isn't actually period. It's period inspired, but it's not perfectly period accurate, and it's partly to sort of satisfy the sensibility of what works for us in our era. If you were, you'd probably want to find a classic English inspired tailor, someone who's got from a background of making a more structured suit, very masculine, almost having a militaristic bearing.
Probably Edward Sexton or something like that, huh?
Probably something
Sounds
like that.
expensive.
No,
Yeah,
you got
You'd have to go pretty much bespoke to sort of get a look like that, or go overseas. It's just not a style which is really done much nowadays. Probably you'd have to actually probably go to England
that's like
or
probably
Japan.
the whole reason of like cultural differences in styles. Like if we say Japan, I mean Japan's pretty good at emulating a lot of different things in their own lens, I would say. But if you go England, like as you say, you can find all of the original badass tailors, if you want to call them like that. Like you have oh man, it's been a while since I've talked about this actually. What are the two streets? It's Jerram Street.
You got German Street shirts, and you got Savile Row for suiting.
Yes.
Have you guys been?
Not yet.
I mean,
Mad
it's an
King.
expensive interest.
No, just a look.
No, I haven't. Have you, Will?
No. I guess for me, as much as I love the aesthetics of English style, Italy to me is where, it is the only place in me, and Japan, where tail clothing's still romantic.
Interesting.
I wish Greece was in the conversation. It's just singlets and parties.
That's a
Why-
whole thing.
I'm trying to think from when we went to Japan, because Costin and I went. Are you talking about like historical clothing? When you're talking about Japan being up there? Or I like what style of clothing? Just suits, Japanese suits, or
Japan is menswear mecca. Think about Italy. Everyone talks about Italy and Paris for haute couture and fashion, but Japan is really where you find menswear at its peak.
I feel like Japan's more of a modern take of menswear, and like your London, your Italy, your Paris is the more traditional. Because I remember we were walking around trying to find hype beast outfits the whole time.
yeah, that's what we were looking for. That's what I mean. I'm wondering if we just missed it because we were looking for hype beast.
No, but that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of it's very modern fashion, I would say, in Japan.
Like, did you go to like Bathing Ape, Supreme, that sort of stuff?
Oh,
Yeah, he's Beanie Supreme.
Yeah, Supreme. No, it's not. It's super dry.
Ah, fuck.
Oh, mate.
Close enough.
Super
Yeah,
dry.
yes. Same shit.
Supreme's way too expensive. This was like €6.
Fuck. Sorry. Fuck.
Well,
I don't know those styles. Anyway, go. What were you going to say?
I think like Japan's like heaven for a lot of people who love clothes because I don't know if you know, but if you look at a label and it says made in Japan, you can best be assured that that t-shirt's not going to cost under $100.
Yeah, it's good quality.
Yeah.
It's good quality shit. And I mean, you see, I mean, when people used to see stuff in made in China, it used to be like, oh no, steer clear from that shit. Purely because it was made in China. But I mean, if you look really deep into the culture, like there's Red Gang tailors, WW Chan. There's a lot of tailors now in China who are doing stuff way better than people ever thought that they ever could. Made in Japan, say for example, is pretty much all across the board, not just hypebeast stuff, which I think really kicked off in Japan like pretty hard.
Oh, there are a few absolute rippers. Like people wearing the most insane things. They look good.
Yeah, like you walk around Harajuku like William and I did with the Hounds, and fuck, people are just crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I remember there was a underground store that I think it was one of Will's mates from MJ Bale told him to go. I think it was called like Dog Down Under or something like that. And there was like just a bunch of stuff there, like Yoji Yamamoto from like seasons ago. Everything's just drapey shit.
Yeah, it got me so close to buying expensive, like I was really close to buying expensive pair of shoes and stuff just because like I saw
yeah.
I was so close.
Everyone
like
wears it there. You're like,
shoes or something.
yeah, I can pull that off back home. He can't.
I
Japan's
can't.
a place for it though. You see clothes and exactly as Will was saying, there's a romantic aspect to it. It's beautiful. It's there's like a soul running through that, and you can feel that, like compared to like you go to Lowe's. I mean, it's a bit different. Or let's say if we compare Australian retailers to Japanese retailers, it's very different, like really different. And you can even see in the streets when people wear clothes.
That's interesting, the idea you're saying. It's like when you dress, you put on, you said something, William, you articulated it so well right at the beginning. You said like when you dress, you're putting on like yourself, your outward self,
your physical
something like that,
self or something.
Because you said you know your inner self, your private self, but it's your like your public persona.
Your public
I've
self.
never really thought about that. Like I just wear clothes, or like if I've got work, I wear work clothes. Is the rare view, or
no? But everyone that would like, if you wore something completely different to what you normally wear, people would go like, "What?" Like I remember, you know those shoes I bought, Tay, those Converse ones that like the high tops, and I used to like
sexy.
like rolled up the jeans and stuff. I'd never done that before, and like everyone saw me for the first time doing that. They're like, "What the fuck?" And that's like, it's like completely different to anything. Like, cause I just chuck on my chinos, put on a pair of like RMs or something, and
he
like,
just wears his work clothes everywhere.
Yeah, all that. But that's like the public persona. Like that, isn't that what sort of it is? Like people will notice.
It is, I guess, what people notice. We tend to think of, I don't know, maybe this is going a bit too deep into it. Hannah Arendt, who was a Austrian-German philosopher, 20th century. She talks about the notion of freedom, and then she talks about how what we had is a focus in political philosophy on freedom as being something concerned with free will. To be free, in other words, was to be in control of what you could control. The Stoics were focused on that. And you find that theme really emerge right now in COVID. Or people talk about, focus on what you can't control. The world is too chaotic. Aaron argued that if you were to look at freedom, you had to go back to see what the Greeks talked about, the idea of freedom. And freedom to the Greeks was about public freedom. You were able to be yourself in public without having, let's say, fear of judgment, fear of persecution. In other words, if you try to dress yourself authentically, you can try, it's an expression of trying to live freely. And there's joy in that, in the comfort of dressing in a way which is authentically you. Dressing is like any other language, right? The philosopher Wittgenstein had a lovely line where he said, the limits of our knowledge are the limits of our language. So when you're dressing, and you do have a more nuanced understanding of it, it allows you to really carve out discreetly aspects of yourself and then express that, both privately and publicly. putting part RM boots and putting on a suit, it's a perfectly legitimate expression of identity as anybody else's. Some people just find joy in being a bit more obsessed by it than others. Like some people are more obsessed by music, or literature, or drawing or art. It's another form of expression. It's a myriad.
God, I'm gonna start scrolling through some websites after
Yeah.
this. Jesus.
I'm
I feel sorry for my credit card tonight.
What do you say about the people then that just dress basic?
Like
What's
I dress
that?
very basic.
I dress very basic.
No, sometimes, like right now, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
but
like work.
you don't wear that out.
I've worn the jacket out before, but yeah.
Let's start chastising him.
No, yeah.
No, he's
Fuck
right.
off.
Yeah, Tay.
Yeah, so what do you think about that? Like, because you're saying it's a form of expression. So if I'm thinking about me, I dress very basic, and then it's like, okay, I want to express myself through what I wear. I just can't think of anything I'd want to like. Maybe I'm just not matured in that area. But to me, it's just like I'll just wear what's the most basic things. Just like what's hot right now is kind of just what I end up wearing and what I look at. I don't look.
You're a sheep.
It's maybe. It's like, for example, I don't see something that's like real out there and I'm like, I really want to wear that, but I feel like I'll be judged if I wear that. I just think to myself, I don't want to wear that. Does that make sense?
I'll let Will chime in, but I think that, exactly as you're saying, like some people just don't care about it. And it's like, well, do you speak the language of, now it sounds really pretentious, but do you like speak that language? Like, do you just have your own personal style or not? And I mean, in essence, having a lack of style is also a style. It's like one or the other, right? So,
I guess.
I'm not saying it's a problem or anything like that, but I think it's more like, well, we all wear clothes. I don't think anybody goes out onto the street naked. So there's a choice in that you can choose what to wear. And if you choose something that, work told you to wear, I mean, there's certain things about that in terms of like uniform that is pretty deep in societal expectations, that we have uniforms and we wear them, or even in school and military garb and that sort of thing. So you don't really get a choice in that, and there's no freedom. But when you do get a choice, I mean, what clothes are you going to wear? That's really the question. And well, why are you going to wear those sorts of things? Are you going to express yourself in a way, or are you don't really care about that language of expression or freedom? So I don't know. What else do you think about it, Will?
I don't have I think I have quite diverse tastes and sensibilities when it comes to clothes. I could be wrong, but if dressing is a language and a social one at that, you find probably something comparable in writing, and I think that's probably the most legitimate approach. Let's say, for example, I'm used to writing a sentence a particular way, which is individualistic to me. Something which, a delicate style. You might write a sentence the same way that a large amount of people write it. There's nothing wrong with both approaches. Maybe if there's anything which I personally might consider wrong, is when someone tries something illegitimate. And really what that means, the clear phrase, that is being pretentious. Pretend means to hold the disguise, not be authentic.
Could you repeat yourself, William? Sorry, just the last part where you said if someone tries something illegitimate.
Illegitimate.
Yeah.
If someone is being inauthentic, that's probably the only territory where I would chastise someone.
Interesting. I thought of an example, Costin. We had our reunion. Do you remember when George wore that suit to our 5-year reunion? He wore a suit to our 5-year reunion. Everyone just gave him shit for it. Strange thing to do, but it kind of makes sense if what you're saying. Like if you feel confident in a suit and whatnot, like everyone else just wore regular clothes, like chinos or a shirt, something like that. But yeah, that's interesting. I've never associated confidence with what I wear, but I can see how that happens, and I think that might happen to me at a subconscious level. Because like if I dress like nicely, like if I'm going to a wedding or something, you're naturally like
Oh,
G'd up.
you feel
Yeah.
good. You know
Looking
when you know you
sexy.
look good,
Got your
you feel
fade
good.
done.
When you wax your head extra nice.
When you shine it, when you get the reverse fade going.
God.
Yeah, well, it's part of how you, I don't know, present yourself, right? Like, why do people wear suits to weddings?
I don't know. Because
Well,
it's like
partially it's social convention.
formal. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're told to wear a suit, I mean, what sort of freedom do you have in that to not wear a suit? Well, I mean, if you want to follow the social convention, you probably should wear a suit. And also, it's a lot about
Respecting the people.
Yeah, respecting the people that asked you to come and invited you to that event. That doesn't mean that you can't wear your best suit or wear your best
funky suit
like that. Yeah, exactly. Not your birthday suit. That's a you might get to wear that on the night, but when you come into
Fingers crossed.
when you come into the wedding, you hope to be wearing something that you can express yourself in.
Yeah, I remember my uncle's wedding. I wore my suit and I felt really good. And then my auntie told me that all his because he's a lecturer at Macquarie Uni, and my auntie was on the same table as all his like colleagues, and they're all like single mums. And she was saying how they were all like looking at me saying I look good. So I'm like, oh, sweet.
Fuck yeah.
That's the suit, mate.
Not the guy. That's the guy behind the suit.
A suit makes someone like 20 times better. Like I feel 20 times better when I'm wearing a suit. I don't know why. I just do.
Yeah,
because I'm wearing a suit, I always have to like make sure my beard looks nice, like my hair looks nice, like everything looks nice because it's a suit. I've got to smell nice. But if I'm not wearing a suit, I don't care.
But in saying that, you only wear suits when you're doing something fun, like you're going to a wedding or you're going to a party, like a 21st or something. Like, do you know what I mean? So maybe you associate that because of that.
Maybe. Who knows?
What do you guys think?
It's getting real psychological. How about you, Will?
No, we love psychological here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm always more, socio-historical when it comes to my sort of analyses. When we talk about clothing, especially occasionality, we're going to look at clothing's relationship to time. Why do we wear a suit to weddings? So let's sort of disaggregate that. Why do we wear formal clothing to weddings? One could argue, at least in the Christian context, what you're doing is you're celebrating union, which is metaphysical. It has that component in the physical union between man and woman, but also it's a union celebrated under the supervision or guardianship of God, right? At the same time, a wedding is not a pact simply between two people. It's a pact between something broad and greater. When we wear formal clothing, what we're doing is we're giving not just the people, but that moment the respect that it deserves. When we say formal clothing, we often talk about not clothes which are extravagant, because it's not the wealth of clothing or its value which is important. What is important is that it exists within some sort of historical lineage. And we're unifying past, present, and future, and there's something beyond that in the act of dressing. That's sort of the social historical reason, why occasionality, I guess, is important or makes you feel good. And I want it as well, just suits are designed in a way to amplify, you guys wouldn't be familiar with, Vitruvian Man, that diagram that Da Vinci drew, where he sort of, suits are sort of tailored to imitate that as much as possible. And it's part of the reasons why, most guys, when they put on a suit, look incredible, or at least better than they are, because there's something sort of inherent beauty that we evoke when we put on tailoring. And the beauty and individuality comes through in how you sort of tweak those proportions, play with that syntax, play with visuals. No one considers Vitruvian Man a piece of art, but if you look at the Mona Lisa or the School of Athens, they draw upon those classical principles and amend those in ways which express individualistic visions, whether you talk about Da Vinci or whether you talk about, Raphael.
Fuck.
And plus, you have older women looking at you and be like, "Oh, you look schmick ass."
Just none young ones for cause, hey? Around our age.
I don't know, for some reason.
That was
They
deep.
get
I've
skipped.
got to go buy a suit, a better suit. Fuck. Where's my suit from? I
Tarot
don't know.
cash, probably.
Nah. I don't know where, but I
This
need a
ties
second
pretty
suit.
nicely into the fundamentals thing that
Oh yeah, go. Because I'm starting full-time work next year, so I'm probably gonna need some suits.
Yeah, you are sexy combat. You need suits.
Yeah, so
Well-
tell me.
yeah, for a shameless plug, firstly visit www.thehounds.com.
I was gonna say that at the end. Yeah, go.
I mean, in essence, we have like a lot of articles up there about. I mean, there's some basics that everybody thinks about, like sizing, color, fit, style, that sort of thing. And then there's like some more interesting things about like what you should focus on. We touched briefly on Alan Flusser, the costume designer, and I think one of the central tenets of how he, I guess, chooses how to dress a person or make a costume is that he wants to draw attention to the face, even if it is a bold face. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, you know what? Like, they said something specifically about hair and skin color contrast, that you're trying to draw more attention towards the person's face that's wearing the costume or the clothes. I think Will knows way more about this than I do, because obviously you can see that the comparison of our intellect is incomparable. But I think it was more along the lines of that if you're choosing colors, you should choose something that has high contrast or low contrast colors compared to the colors on your head, which would generally have a high contrast. Say, for example, I have black hair and I guess I've got more tan skin nowadays, but
Oh, tans, man.
yeah, forever. I mean, lockdown tans. I'm not sure they're a thing, but I mean that's a high contrast sort of pairing. And also these glasses are just
Old.
yeah, bold and black. So I mean, high contrast clothing in terms of how you mix and match things might go particularly well if you wear high contrast clothing with your high contrast face.
So what's an example of high contrast in a suit? Because like the suit's black, navy, checkered,
I mean,
grey.
you could wear like a white shirt. I mean, everybody could wear a white shirt and it looks great with like any suit. But say, for example, if you start choosing different types of blues, you have like dark tones of blue, you have light tones of blue, you have medium tones of blue.
Yeah, I got the light bluish linen shirt on with the dark navy blue suit. Works
Yeah.
wonders.
And say, yeah, exactly. For your hair and skin tone on your face, that would work well. Because I mean, say for example, have you ever seen like I don't know a black model wearing like a deep purple shirt and say a black suit, and that looks great.
I haven't.
Yeah, no, I'm
They have
picturing
a
it.
contrast of like black hair and black skin, and so they have two deep or dark toned items that are drawing attention towards. Well, I guess not drawing attention. I would say maybe I'm just really fucking this up right now, but I would say it's more about
We're buying it if you are.
making everything seem like it's not out of place. So say like your head is not out of place with your.
Okay, what would you tell me to buy?
What would I tell you to buy? You know what? Will's got more style experience working in MJ Bale, so I'll let him do it.
You just thrown him in.
I think David hit a nice point there, about like amplifying the face. Because if there is an end goal to dressing, there are many end goals to dressing, but I think a significant one, or a particularly meaningful one, is dressing in a way which captures who you are. So that's something in the physical sense, like you said, colors to match.
Can you lean a bit closer, Will? Sorry. Or I don't know. We couldn't hear the last part. It might be the internet. I'm not sure.
It's about finding, I guess, what you're trying to do is trying to find a grammar or language where you can authentically represent yourself, right? So the best way to that is starting steps: navy suit, grey suit, white shirt. And what you're going to try to do there is twofold. My one is get used to it, so that putting on a suit does not feel like something special, that it feels like something you wear on a day-to-day basis. And then secondly, experimenting with how you put that combo together. Marie Kondo, and there's a weird reference. In the show, she's like, it sparked the joy, right? And so what you should be doing is buy a navy suit, a gray suit, something that is everybody, and then experimenting with accessories and shirts, and then keeping that which sparks the joy. Like David likes leopard shirts, and I happen to like pink baseball caps, but they spark joy. I would probably recommend is getting the basics right, and just like learning to put together a sentence. Once you've got your first 300 words in the language, then experiment, because no one can be you better than you.
Oh,
Fair
that's
enough.
sweet.
That's a nice little ending to what you're saying. in terms of the Hounds, what's do you guys have like a 5-year goal from now? Like, what's the end? Do you have an end goal, or is it just a passion thing you're just doing on the side, and then if whatever happens kind of thing?
I sort of, I guess everyone in the house has different views on what it means to them in different ways. I don't say, I never view things having end goals. And that's also not the way I live my life.
Fuck, that's deep.
I sort of, view things take things as they come along. As long as you grow, you grow alongside whatever you're doing, then that's ultimately what matters. At this stage, for us, it's taking the time to really find and rediscover what inspires us. The world has changed dramatically, and we started this conversation talking about how do you feel about trends as trends have changed. That's just in clothes. Think about what's changed in the world over the last 2 years, and likewise, we've changed. So what's inspired us is changing as well. So we're in the process of discovering that, and in the process of discovering that, we're going to build ourselves. That's an abstract way to put it. It's like watching a long-run television series, right? It's just you keep rolling on, and you see where you get texture.
I like that. That's a good mentality for life. It's like everything's kind of fleeting, something that I've always thought. So it's like always enjoying the process of it, good or bad.
And
What about for you,
we've got a
Dave?
great community here. Like, I never thought that we'd have like so many followers or people who read stuff. Because I remember, I'm not sure about you, Will, but I had people stopping me in the street, and not that I care about being, I don't know,
Status.
slightly famous or something like that, but people cared about what we made, and that really put at the heartstrings. It made me feel like I did something important for other people, that someone who perhaps didn't really care about these sorts of things started to see it from, I don't know, probably the same way you guys are seeing it after you hear William talk about it so passionately, that it's not just clothes. Yeah, consumerism and the price of clothes and that sort of thing might make people feel that way. And yeah, it's not exactly a necessity. If you look on Maslow's hierarchy, I mean, self-actualization is at the very top. And I would probably put, buying clothes and copying drip up there. At the very bottom is having a basic Wi-Fi connection. But I would say, like, if you have the chance to do those sorts of things, I mean, why not? And we're helping people who, for lack of a better term, don't have anything else that they find interesting to do in their lives, in terms of their hobbies or something that they're interested in, finding themselves a freedom of expression in the way that Williams probably put it most eloquently, that it's their choice, it's their freedom, and they get to choose certain things about their life, like their thoughts and their actions, and that they control their actions a little bit more. I mean, man, those people stopping me in the street, I feel so happy for them. I feel happy, not that they're spending like all their savings on nice drip. It's just more that they're doing something that they're feeling fulfilled with. And
Surely you would have had a great feeling as well.
oh,
Yeah, come on, bro.
I mean, a little bit, but to be honest, when I got on board with this thing with Will, I never thought that it would get to where it is, well, as of a few years ago, or even like 2 years in or something like that. I didn't think that we'd get to go to Japan. I didn't think we'd go to Melbourne and interview a bunch of people that I'd only seen through the lens of other cameras going on Tumblr and Instagram nowadays. I never thought I'd get to meet master shoe artisans or people who made suits and get to talk with people who made these things that I cared about. I thought that that was like a total pipe dream, that I cared about this thing and I'd only ever have to be on the consumer side. But I mean, the Hounds, to sum up, I think, at least in my personal perspective, is that it opens up a lot of different questions about what might seem trivial, like wearing a different t-shirt, and it opens up questions about how you feel about life. And yeah, do what sparks joy, I think.
And I think probably David comes into like a nice little summation there, right? Why the Hounds? It's because it sparks joy, and that's why we do it. Well, and in some past tense way, did it. In the moment it stops sparking joy, then just like item of clothing, then it becomes time to pass it on.
Wow. I really like that. That made me think about clothing in a completely different way. Costin's going to laugh at me now for sounding dumb.
No,
Well, no, I think us doing this podcast thing is kind of like that. Creative outlet, sparking joy, kind of like a passion project. Would you not say? That's where you jump in, Cos.
well, yes. Radio silence. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be doing it.
No, I know. No, it's just interesting.
Yeah,
Is
it's
that
passion projects, sparks joy, all the above.
I mean, like, why do you call it a passion project? Like, I mean, I'm not specifically you. I'm not trying to be interrogatory, but like, why do people call it passion projects? Like, I think everything that you should do has some sort of a meaning. Like, say for example, you go to work and you have money. Okay, fine. That's the trade-off for your time at work. But I mean, if you're not doing it for money, you better be doing it for passion. Like,
Yeah.
what
There's
else
other things as well. Well, there's passion. There's not like knowledge, but that's pretty broad. Like
experience?
I want to learn more, experience, meet new people, improve my speaking skills and my, I don't know if intellect's the right word, but intellect, like stuff like that, I guess. That's why. And it's also different because like I'm in construction. So like I see every day, like I build buildings, concrete, bricks, everything. And this is like a different thing every episode. And I learn so much more about fashion today. And we talked to mentoring men a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about conspiracy theories the other day. And like, it's just a whole broad range of things that just gets my mind, like sparks my mind and gives me much more stimulation than just every day going to work and like pouring concrete and reading plans and like doing that type of stuff. That's why I do it.
In case you can't tell, Costin doesn't like talking about his emotions.
Yeah, it's like
It's like getting water from a rock.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder what the costume says about that.
Go into it. Go into it.
We don't do ratings on the Hounds, or neither do William or I independently. We just do analysis, but we keep our analysis to ourselves, don't we, Will?
Mostly.
Go analyze.
Nah, I don't express some emotions. Not all emotions. Some. specific ones.
The manly ones.
Nah.
Yeah, big yes. Nah. Just shitting on him now.
You
Good
guys
guy.
are great
It-
podcast
Good
partners.
cunt.
Huh?
You guys are great podcast partners.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Are we? Why? Why? No, we sort of bounce off each other, I guess. Do you think Talon's voice is a bit nasally though?
Yeah, he told me my voice is nasally. Just
No, I
before
didn't
we
say it.
started.
You said it. You said it, and I just agreed with it.
Well, I'm not sure, but
My nose is
nasally
blocked. It
not
makes no
nearly as
difference.
bad as having no Wi-Fi, like the bottom of the Maslow's hierarchy scale, is it? Will.
He's shitting on you, Will. Your Wi-Fi's been cutting out, mate.
I know.
Nah, we appreciate your time. Anyway.
We appreciate you boys coming on. I think probably a good spot to wrap it, I'd say.
Yeah. All right. Plug the Hounds. Go,
David, you want to plug us out?
Dave.
Oh, okay. You don't
You're
have
the
that.
one with the Wi-Fi.
Okay. Well, we are on Instagram. We are at the Hounds blog. We have a webpage, which is at www.thehounds.com.au. And you can see William or you can see me out on the street. Well, actually, it's locked down right now, so probably not. But if you ever see us out on the street, say hi.
Perfect.
Done.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for coming on.
William. Appreciate David.
Thanks, William. Thanks, Dave.
Two
Thanks,
Thinking Apes
lads.
first. We had two guests at the same time. So big deal for us. Thank you. Have a good night. Enjoy your Sunday.
You too, guys.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
See ya.
Yeah.